Hola, Charlene T. Easter here, and welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be about self-care and wellness. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it doesn't take any particular month, day, or week for me to be reminded of the impact of cancer. You know, I lost my mom. I'm trying really hard not to cry. I lost my mom to metastatic breast cancer in April of 2020, like right around the time when everything started to happen. And she had a struggle, like she was fighting it for maybe about 2 years or close to 2 years, until, she was tired. She was tired of trying the different medications. She was tired of how the medications made her feel and the side effects of the medications. And she was just over it. And I, of course, respected her decision, but it was hard. It was really hard. And not terribly long after, my mom's sister, my aunt, and I'll call it her best friend, was also diagnosed with breast cancer. Thankfully, it was caught early on, and my aunt was able to receive the treatment and care that she needed to quickly eradicate it. And she is fine. She is fine, thankfully. And, on my dad's side of my family, breast cancer has been there very heavily as well. So it is a topic that can be a bit scary, to be honest, for me. And I just wanted to share some information that I've been discovering through my own research, as well as talking to my healthcare provider, who you will meet in a very few minutes, to try to address some myths and some misconceptions in reference to menopause. And in case you're wondering why I started talking about breast cancer and now I'm talking about myths and misconceptions about menopause, it is because there was a study that was done probably 25, 30 years ago that basically said that hormone replacement therapy caused breast cancer. And I cannot tell you the exact year, my exact age when I heard it, but what I can tell you is I remember most things that are super important or fun or that I really, really love and like, but I never forgot that. And as a result of that interview or whatever it was that I was watching 25 or 30 years ago, I said, I will never do hormone replacement therapy. And I am 55. I am perimenopausal at this moment. And the more that I started to listen to podcasts, start to do some reading from female doctors who are taking the side effects as well as all of the treatment options that are available for women as they enter into the perimenopause and throughout much more seriously. And I say it that way because I don't pretend or claim to know everything, but in general, I think that sometimes, because so many things in this country revolve around men, meaning that a lot of times, although there are way more women in positions of power and authority across government and also within the private sector and the nonprofit sector, where it can make a difference on things like research and studies and things of that nature. Many things sometimes I personally feel that women are penalized for, and we're an afterthought if we're a thought at all. And the more that I have kind of gone down a bit of a rabbit hole and trying to figure out what to do based on some of the different symptoms that I was experiencing as a result of being in perimenopause, I started to rethink hormone replacement therapy because it seemed like the information that I was reading, like, the saying, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. That literally was how I was beginning to feel based on a lot of new to me information that I was hearing from like Dr. Mindy Pels, from Dr. Mary Claire Haver. And there's another Black female doctor who I saw on, I think it was a podcast with Oprah Winfrey. And I'm so glad. I just feel like it was divine intervention because I was watching some other video. And you know how sometimes you're watching YouTube and another video will just start to play an ad, and a lot of times you can click off of it. But this was an instance where I finished watching something and this Oprah podcast popped up with this beautiful Black woman who happens to be a doctor and a gynecologist. I believe she's a gynecologist. I do not recall her name, but I will find it so that I can link her information in the description box. But she was talking about, like our quality of life as we age and how we should not be suffering because of something that was said so long ago that may well have been blown out of proportion, or all the information wasn't provided and literally has caused one or two generation of women to suffer as they go through perimenopause and then they are postmenopausal because of that one thing that I saw and heard many years ago about hormone replacement therapy causing cancer. So what tonight's video is going to be about, it is going to be a conversation with one of my healthcare providers who I appreciate so very much, and someone who is helping me through the journey and will share some about her own journey in reference to menopause. And I'm really grateful and excited that she agreed to be on the channel and speak to us tonight about some of the myths and misconceptions about menopause. And I hope that your takeaway will be something that will be useful to you no matter what phase of life you're in. Because if you are a woman, if you have a uterus, then you are either pre-perimenopause, perimenopause, or postmenopause, apparently, right? Because menopause apparently is like a day. But Terri will explain that and so many other things to us. So this might be a long one. So grab you a snack, get comfy, and check in the comments as we dialogue and she shares information. If there are things that you are hearing that happen to be new information for you, if you have questions, that we may not address, because maybe we can get Terri to come back if she doesn't address whatever the question you might have, because I have a few questions already prepared to ask her. And just share. I think it's really important that we know and understand that we are not alone in this journey. And it is a journey. And the impact that perimenopause and menopause can have holistically on women, it is major. It is major. And again, it just, a lot of things that I've discovered in my own research have made me feel really sad for, like, truly the generation of women who literally, because so many doctors back then were men, who were men who literally called them crazy, like for these symptoms. And there are so many symptoms. So I am going to give you a brief introduction of our upcoming guest, and then I am going to move into my interview with my question and answer with Terri Page. Here is just a little bit about Terri based on the bio that she shared with me to share with you all. Terri Page is a healthcare provider who specializes in women's health. She completed her doctorate of nursing practice degree in May of 2020 from Virginia Commonwealth University, OK Rams, in Richmond, Virginia. She is currently employed with the Virginia Women's Center in Richmond, and in this practice, she provides high-quality women's healthcare services. Dr. Page is passionate about providing comprehensive care to all patients, but has a special place in her heart for those who are underserved. She also has experience in health education and believes that it is her reasonable service to the medical profession to train up those who are to come. Terri focuses on quality improvement, safety, innovation, and she is a leader in healthcare and in the community. So I am happy to welcome one of my healthcare providers, Dr. Terri Page. Hey, Terri, how are you?
I am doing well. How are you, Charlene?
I am fantastic. I am so happy to see you today. I really, really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this for me and for my online community.
Well, thank you for having me, Charlene. Happy Sunday to you. Happy Sunday to everybody out there, the audience. And yeah, it's a pleasure being here to talk about a very important topic.
It is. It is very important. And I would like to reiterate that while we may be sharing information that is medical, and while Terri is absolutely a qualified, certified, and licensed medical professional, she is not offering anyone medical guidance except for me. Okay, because she's my nurse practitioner. That's the nature of our relationship. But she is here to share information, to provide enlightenment, hopefully, and to give you, if you are someone who is currently dealing with perimenopause or menopause, or you may be about to head in that direction, I hope that this information will be especially useful for you as a point of reference, as a point of additional research, and also as something that you will be able to go to your healthcare provider to get more information, to figure out which things may be useful and helpful for you based on your health care needs. Okay. So I just wanted to put that out there. But Terri and I have been in relationship, shall we say? We have a professional relationship, and I
Yes.
really, really appreciate her. I think it has been at least a couple of years since a good close friend of mine found her and shared her information with me, and I'm like, oh, I'm looking her up because while I do absolutely care about getting just a good healthcare provider, I would be lying to not say I want qualified, knowledgeable, experienced, and customer focused Black, preferably women, healthcare providers where and when I can find them. So I feel so grateful to have Terri as a part of my medical health care team.
Wow, that's a great introduction, Charlene. And just to your point, women's health has definitely been a passion of mine for many years. I've been a practitioner, practicing practitioner for over 20 years. I started out at VCU Health System, working as a registered nurse. I worked in the ER, I worked in med surge until I found my passion, which was women's health. And so I decided, okay, I've been taking care of women, taking care of people all my lives. It's time for me to branch out autonomously and have my own patient base, my own clientele. So I
Mhm.
wanted to build that up. And so to build onto my career, I decided to go back to become an advanced practice provider, hence nurse practitioner. And most of my experiences have been with women and labor and delivery to postpartum, from the beginning to the end. And then when I went into women's health, in my graduate studies, I realized I really wanted to take care of women and their GYN needs in addition to their perinatal needs. So
Mm.
once I finished my degree, I decided to also advance my career even further and get my doctorate degree. And during the pandemic, and so in 2000, that was a very tumultuous time, but to God be the glory, all is well. And like I said, I landed a position at Virginia Women's Center, and I've been there for the past 18 years taking care of women.
Oh, look,
And,
I was
and,
already impressed and didn't even know all that.
well, I'm a lifelong learner, and so I'm always learning about, just healthcare, not just for people, but particularly I have a special interest in meeting the needs and meeting people where they are,
Mhm.
especially people of color
Yes, yes.
and women of color.
We appreciate that so, so much. I know I do personally. And yeah, um, while I don't recall what, actually, I think I found Terri just in general because I think it is safe to say someone who might have been a favorite person for both of us used to be my gynecologist forever, for
Mm,
years.
I
And
know who you're going to say. I know who you're going to say. And that particular position is responsible for me being at Virginia Women's Center. I tell you now, she has been a role model for me for many years. And if it weren't for Dr. Karen Jefferson, I
yes,
would not be in the position where I am today. So kudos to her.
yes, I love Dr. Jefferson and I miss her. I absolutely hope all is super well with her. Um, but yeah, one of the things that has been high on the list of topics when I have been visiting Terri as of late is menopause and perimenopausal symptoms.
Mm,
And I can absolutely say that prior to having some conversations and honestly seeing some new videos, seeing new information coming from a variety, but women. Like I have seen a Black female doctor. I've seen at least two white female doctors that I've listened to a lot of their podcasts and the
mhm,
information
mm,
they shared.
yeah, yeah.
And it had begun to change my perspective on something I know I heard. I am 55 heading into 56 and I probably heard this information, I mean really a good 30, maybe 30 years ago, and it shaped my opinion so strongly about hormone replacement therapy that I was like, I'll never do that. Right.
Mm,
Because of this one huge study. And I'll go into the questions in just a few minutes that I have for you. Um, and you may end up discussing this because I'm sure you have heard people with some of the concerns that I've come to you about in
Absolutely.
reference to that one study that, again, was so, what is the word? Like it really scared me so much that I remembered it. And until recently, I refused to entertain hormone replacement therapy as a result of something that I heard probably 30 years ago. And yeah, I know you know what I'm talking about. So I just want to I will circle back at some point to what it is that I'm doing now with the help and guidance of Terri. And I will start with the questions that we have that hopefully again will be super helpful to anyone watching. Okay.
Let's go.
All right. So, menopause is a very, I'm personally going to say, confusing topic. um, as someone who kind of sort of thought I knew what it was, we really don't, because it's something that I'm realizing has not been studied a lot, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I personally feel, I'm not putting words in Terry's mouth,
Okay.
many things when it comes to women's health sometimes. Uh,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and I think that a good place to start would be to ask, when does menopause start? And
Mm-hmm.
how would I know that it is happening?
So, thank you for the question. And so, menopause. It's an old topic, Charlene. However, it's a new conversation, right?
Mhm.
And so
Yes.
let me just start first by saying, to kind of put things in context, menopause is a biological event. It's a natural process that women do go through. And all women go through it worldwide in different cultures, different societies. However, when you stop having a period for at least 12 consecutive months, that's the true definition of menopause. Okay. Not when you go 6 months, okay, haven't had a period, 3 months, haven't had a period. That's not menopause.
Hmm.
Menopause is when you are no longer menstruating, okay? Because when your body doesn't menstruate, that's when the symptoms start to come and become a little bit more severe. However, perimenopause is the bridge leading to menopause. So, kind of like take a look at it this way: in your 30s and 40s, for most part, that's when you go through the perimenopausal stage. That's when the cycles, they will start to become irregular. Okay, they may become heavier, shorter, lighter, crampier, and that's when other symptoms come along as well, including insomnia. You may experience some mood swings, maybe some anxiety. Now, every woman, like you said earlier, is their own individual and they
Hmm.
have their own unique experiences. So everybody's not going to go through it the same way. However, the most important single symptom that women will go through in their 40s, they will start to notice their cycles become irregular.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, this perimenopausal stage can last anywhere between 4 to 10 years. Now, the average age for menopause is between the ages of 51 and 53. But I'm finding that more women are having their cycles even into their mid 50s. I'm a midlifer myself. So I
Yeah.
didn't stop my cycles until I was like probably 51, 52.
Hmm.
I'm still in my 50s and I'm no longer having a cycle. So I am considered postmenopausal. So
Mm.
let me be clear: perimenopause, mainly in your 40s, menopause, the cessation of your cycle for at least 12 months. A year after menopause, you're considered postmenopausal. And your postmenopausal stage lasts indefinitely. Menopause never stops. It never
Yeah.
stops. You may have different symptoms in different decades, but you will be postmenopausal until you expire.
Yes.
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 And I also am someone who is 55. My symptoms, certain symptoms that I've recognized, probably started maybe about 4 years ago. but
Hmm.
none of them were related to my cycle. And that was the only thing that I kind of always associated with menopause was just that it stopped. I heard about hot flashes and nothing else, right?
Right, 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 right. Right now, that's those are other symptoms too, because what's happening from a physiological standpoint, your hormones, you have two hormones that your ovaries produce, estrogen and progesterone. When they start to decline, because they communicate these hormones, they communicate inside your ovaries, and inside the ovaries communicates with your brain. Okay,
Mhm,
so
mhm,
when those hormones they start to decline, estrogen and progesterone, those two hormones, they are the ones who are responsible for those symptoms, the
mhm,
hot flashes, the night sweats, the insomnia, the vaginal dryness, the decreased libido. Some women say, Terry, my hair is thinning. I'm losing my hair. My nails aren't growing. I'm going through, I can't lose weight. I can't seem to find my mojo. The
mhm.
brain fog will start to set in too. So not only is it physical symptoms, mentally and emotional symptoms one would go through. So there's a whole gamut. And so women say, well, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? My heart's palpitating, my lab works is out of whack. I just can't function. My family can't stand me. I'm on the verge of getting a divorce. What is going on?
Yeah.
So what's going on? There's a hormonal imbalance.
Hmm.
And when those hormones, when they stop functioning, when they stop producing the hormones that the body needs to definitely have a good day, that's when I see a lot of patients in the office saying, I need to have a discussion about menopause. They
Yeah.
think it's something physiological. I've seen my cardiologist, I've seen my primary care, I've seen my endocrinologist, but something is just not right, Terry. I need to find myself again.
Yeah. It's a big
And
deal.
that's when the conversation starts.
It's a big deal.
It's not always getting, blood work. Yeah, blood work can show me a baseline of where things are. However, I listen and together as a partnership, we discuss a plan of care that's definitely structured and definitely individualized for you as you are going through this transition of life. It's not a death sentence. It's not the end of the world. It's
Mhm.
a transition that your body's going through.
Yeah. And I think that speaking as someone who has had, several different symptoms, and again, paying more attention to the female doctors that really have taken this thing on. Like they are doing
Yeah,
way more
yeah.
work and research and studying. Um, and every other day, I'm more amazed isn't the word, but in a way, it is the word, by the
Mhm.
variety and of symptoms that people can have. Like,
Yes.
I mentioned all I ever thought about for menopause was not having a period anymore and having hot flashes. Well, I did begin to have night sweats, but it wasn't super common. And I remember the first time it happened, like, if there happened to be any men listening to this, you better, that need to, you better give
Right.
so much grace and extra love to the women in your life when they are
Yeah.
experiencing these things because it is it is very honestly the word I have to use is unbelievable for some of the symptoms and how they literally
Yeah.
impact your body,
Yeah.
which in turn can impact how you feel about yourself.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
night sweats, I think, probably started 8-ish years ago, maybe when I had the first one. But again, it wasn't common. But I
Right.
remember, thank God I had stopped getting perms. Because I remember waking up in the middle of the night and whatever sort of nightgown I had on, my pillow literally was wet, like someone had poured a cup of water on it. All of this
Mm.
was wet, like
Mm.
soaking wet. And I remember thinking, what is happening? I don't, like what is happening? Because it's like it really is unbelievable. The amount of water and sweat. Same with sometimes when you have a hot flash. Like I had started to get those a little bit at first I didn't recognize that it could be a hot flash. And then I was like, oh, I think this might be a hot flash. And then I was like, oh, this is definitely a hot flash. Because
And those
your
hot flashes,
brain,
I mean, they can be debilitating. I mean, you could be at work and then all of a sudden, you break out in a sweat in the back of your neck, or your whole body just feels like it's on fire on the
yeah.
inside. Like someone just lit a match to you, and it lasts for maybe a few seconds and then it's gone away. Your body is cooled off. But
Mhm.
again, that's your brain. Those are brain receptors saying, okay, this is a thermoregulatory process that is going through, but I need something to cool me off. And you may, see women with fans, hand fans, or handheld electric fans to cool themselves off. They are going through their own hot personal summer. And I
Yeah.
went through it myself. I did, Charlene, and I said, okay, I need some help. And I noticed that certain foods triggered it, such as
Mhm.
caffeine. And I love my coffee. I'm a coffee drinker, maybe 1 cup a day in the morning to get me jump started. But as soon as I drink that cup of coffee, it will trigger a hot flash just like that.
Mm.
Caffeine, if I drink a glass of wine, if I have anything hot and spicy, or any foods, even cheese. Cheese can trigger a hot flash.
Wow.
And then at nighttime, that's where the insomnia comes in with the symptoms from peri or menopause. You find yourself waking up at the arsenic time of the night, 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. in the morning, and you're like, whew, what is going on here? Like you said, the covers are wet, the nightgown is wet. You get up to go to the bathroom, and then you come back and you're wide awake. You're wide
Yeah.
awake. You got to function the next day at work or taking care of the children, and you're sleep deprived.
Yes.
Yes.
And that
So
is
these
serious.
are real problems, Charlene, real
Yeah.
problems that women are experiencing.
Very real. And we just, again, I think need more grace. And I'm a big proponent of boundaries and being an advocate for myself in everything,
Right.
whether it is personal or professional. And I get that it can be very difficult. And on top of this, I am someone who, and I've shared this on the channel already, I have PCOS. And so as a result of certain things sometimes that I would even experience with that, I um I had fibroids at one point, like to the point where it was way more bothersome for me professionally to not tell my male supervisor what was
Mm-hmm.
going on because it was so debilitating
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes.
especially with like the fibroids. Like, so sometimes we as
Mm-hmm.
women are experiencing things that are real. And I do not think that it is our job to pretend like it's not happening and not
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge how it is impacting us physically, mentally, and emotionally sometimes. There is a way, I think, for us to let those around us know these are some of the things I'm experiencing. Um, and I need you to be a little more patient with me. You mentioned brain fog. It's real.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And full transparent moment. Yeah, managing menopausal symptoms, that's the new paradigm right now. You've got to look into your lifestyle and make some lifestyle changes. And for me, one of the changes that, I definitely welcomed was taking hormone replacement therapy.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's a good segue to talk about hormone replacement therapy because, it really helped to save my life.
I understand.
And yes, so and I am a advocate for hormone replacement therapy for the right candidate and for the right patient. Okay, you
Mhm.
have to look at the whole picture before initiating any type of hormone replacement therapy for women because there are other options. There are other options, but as patient to provider, we talk about those options. It's not always, to say go work out, go change your diet. You have to look at the whole picture, when it comes to a person's lifestyle.
Yeah.
Sure, I advocate exercise, 4 to 5 times a week. I exercise supplemental vitamins to help, your immune system. I definitely, advocate for patients to look into other options to help with anxiety or depression that they may be going through during this time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you take all three of those categories, the antidepressants, you take exercise, you take dietary changes, and hormone replacement therapy. Out of all four of those I just listed, the ones that are most impactful for managing vasomotor symptoms such as hot flashes, night sweats, the whole kit and caboodle is going to be hormone replacement therapy because you have to replace what your body is no longer producing.
Yes, and
So,
can we take a step back for just 1 second? Because some people, and this is something everybody can clearly Google, but you said estrogen and progesterone, right?
correct.
So can you quickly tell us what estrogen does in our bodies and why it's important? Same for progesterone.
Absolutely. So those are your two main primary hormones that, like I said, are produced in your ovaries. The
Mhm.
estrogen component or estrogen hormone per se is
Mhm.
responsible for your mental state.
Mhm.
Okay. That
Mhm.
helps with clarity. It helps with, your thinking, your speaking, your articulation. And it also helps with your skin. It
Mm.
keeps things lubricated.
Mm.
During puberty stages, estrogen is responsible for our breast changes. It's
Mm.
responsible for our hair distribution under our arms, in our pubic area. Okay. It
Mhm.
keeps our body hydrated. So for our eyes, our skin, our hair, our nails, our vaginas, it keeps
Mhm.
the vagina lubricated as well. So another protective effect estrogen has, which is so important, it has a protective effect on your heart
Mhm.
and your bone health.
Mm.
Okay. So those are the important components for estrogen. For progesterone, it helps keep our uterine lining. It helps keep us more thickened. Your uterus is like a garden, a plush garden. It needs to be fed nutrients. So the progesterone does that. It helps sustain pregnancies.
Mm.
Okay. It also helps us sleep. It's the sleep component. But when they work together, when they're balanced together, as we go through puberty, that's when we start our period. The average age is between 11 or 12 years old. That's what keeps our menstrual cycles regulated. Those two hormones in balance. When they're not in balance, that's when all chaos breaks out.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And because I mentioned earlier that there was a huge study that was done at least 30 years
Mhm.
ago that scared everything out of me so much so that
Yeah.
until earlier this year, I was like, I'm not doing that. There,
Mhm.
I feel like it has been debunked by certain female
Mhm.
gynecologist doctors. Um, I still kind of see little information. I literally saw something the other day from a doctor, and I don't want to make it sound as if it is a male doctor thing versus a female doctor thing, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
However, I will say that I think that most female doctors have an incentive to ensure that they fully understand this process, and it is showing in many of the podcasts and a lot of the research and stuff that I'm doing and seeing for all of this new information.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
As a result of that study, I thought that because it was stated that hormone replacement therapy caused breast cancer. That's what well, you can correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I remember from, I ain't blaming Oprah, but I swear it probably was on Oprah for her. Like, I think she was doing her due diligence. She was looking out for us and stuff.
Right.
But,
Right.
you know, because I wasn't a big news person back then, so that was primarily what I looked at. So it was, but it was medical professionals that were
Right.
saying this
Right.
thing. And as a result of hearing hormone replacement therapy causes breast cancer, I'm like, I'm never doing it.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Yes.
then if you add on, I lost my mom 5 years ago to breast cancer. It's like, absolutely not.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I pose the question to you, is hormone replacement therapy safe?
Hormone replacement therapy is not dangerous. Hormones are not dangerous. We as women, we keep living, we're definitely going to develop some type of disease, chronic medical condition, if we don't take care of ourselves. High blood pressure, cardiovascular disease is number one in women. It's twice as high in women of color. So we need to know our numbers as far as from a cardiovascular standpoint, from diabetes, from also, we also have cholesterol issues. And if it weren't for the estrogen, our cholesterol levels will definitely continue to climb. Okay. So hormones are not dangerous. And just to shed some light on the Women's Health Initiative study, which is a huge project that was initiated in 2002. It was sponsored by the National Institute of Health. And it looked at the different causes of death, impaired quality of life, and disabilities in women's health. So, sure, it was stopped immediately because what it did, it looked at hormone replacement. It had two arms, an estrogen and progesterone arm, and an estrogen only arm, because when women have hysterectomies, they can only take estrogen. They don't need progesterone. But if you have an intact uterus, you need to take estrogen with progesterone. You cannot take estrogen unopposed, because if you do, as a female, it can cause the uterine lining to build up, and that can lead to uterine cancer in women, okay? Particularly Black women of color too. So a few years into the study, they halted it because they found, and these women, mind you, their ages were between the ages of 50 and 79. Okay, so these women were older. They were older women. And what did I say? A risk factor for getting older is going to be some form of cancer or some form of chronic medical condition. So the study was halted, particularly because one particular arm, the estrogen progesterone arm, they found that it caused an increase of breast cancer. So they were like, okay, we got to stop this study because at the outcome of this study, we feel like estrogen coupled with progesterone will lead to breast cancer in these particular group of women. Whereas the estradiol arm of the study, at the end, they found that there was a benefit as far as cardiovascular protection, bone protection, and breast cancer was increased by maybe 20%. So at the end of the day, of course, it led to fear mongering, it led to confusion. And so providers and patients, we got to stop hormone replacement therapy because it's going to cause breast cancer. Now, I read this study in real time. I have read it. And my take on it is, because of the information that was distributed at that particular time, I'm not saying it was false, but it was a little misleading because some information was not, completely told, because it stopped at such a halt and so abruptly. So my take on hormone replacement therapy, if you are a candidate, even if you are in your 50s, the best time to start the hormone replacement therapy is within that 10-year period. That's when it's the safest and it's most efficacious. Okay, now once you turn 60, are you saying halt the hormone replacement or stop the hormone replacement therapy? Absolutely not. But you still have to take in consideration your risk versus the benefits. I want you to have a quality of life moving forward. So if you are doing well, say I initiate you on, say, for example, a patch, a transdermal patch, and Prometrium, or a pill that had both estrogen and progesterone. I want you to continue it. I want you to have a better quality of life. In the meantime, Stuart, I still need you to have your mammograms done every year. I still need you to see your cardiovascular doctor to make sure your heart is doing well. And you need to do a bone DEXA scan to make sure your bones are strong, because that's a benefit also. I'm not saying HRT is used to prevent all of that, okay? But it's part of the prevention screening for mammogram screening, for bone DEXA screening, and your brain health. Because some studies have shown that, when you take hormone replacement therapy, it will help with your cognition. Because we know without the estrogen, your cognition will decline and it can lead to dementia. So as a provider, I counsel women on hormone replacement therapy. if you're not a candidate, if you are at risk for developing blood clots, if you have an estrogen dependent type of breast cancer, then no, you are not a candidate for hormone replacement therapy. Or if you have a history of blood clots, your personal history of blood clots, then no. Or if you have high blood pressure that's uncontrolled, you are not a candidate for hormone replacement therapy. So if you're a smoker and you're trying to quit, then I will work with you, because we know smoking leads to cardiovascular disorder, correct? So I'm going to encourage you to quit smoking. I'm going to encourage you to quit drinking if you're a drinker. I'm going to also encourage you to definitely work out at least 4 to 5 times per week. And that helps keep your numbers down. But the studies show that when you're on hormone replacement therapy, your benefits have got to outweigh the risks that are involved. So that's my takeaway from the study. Hormones are not dangerous. They give you a better quality of life. And there are circumstances where if you are not a candidate, then no, you will not be initiated hormone replacement therapy. We will talk about different options. And we have on board at Virginia Women's Center, we have certified menopausal specialists. We get our resources from the North American Menopause Society, NAMS, and NAMS supports what we are doing as menopausal specialists, as provider, when we initiate hormone replacement therapy. So it's not a taboo, as far as hormone replacement therapy. We, as a practice, we stand by hormone replacement therapy.
Yes, awesome. And is it accurate to also say, in reference to the study, that one of the reasons it may have been a bit misleading for them to come to that conclusion so many years ago was because of the ages of the women they initiated this study with? They did not look at women who may have been perimenopausal in their late 30s or early
Correct.
40s.
Correct. Because the average age was 63. The average age woman was 63 years old in that study. So you're absolutely right. Because when you're perimenopausal, most women are still having their cycles. So, you're going to initiate hormone replacement therapy during that period of time? No, you're not. If they're having irregular cycles and don't want to get pregnant, my first line of therapy is going to be a low dose birth control option. Okay. And that could be in the form of a pill, a patch, or the NuvaRing, or even an IUD, an intrauterine device. Because that can also help with cycle control, or it can also diminish your cycle where you don't have a cycle at all. So it will help with the symptoms of menopause with those methods, because think about it, with the birth control, you've got estrogen and progesterone in most of them. So they're going to give you that hormonal balance. And if they give you that hormonal balance, those symptoms of vasomotor symptoms that you get during perimenopause will be diminished. And you can definitely just transition into menopause. You probably say, well, how will I know if I'm going through menopause? Then Terri, then, we will, at that particular point in time, I advise women, okay, this is what we're going to do. And I'm with you on this. We're going to stop your method of contraception, see where you are. And then that's when I get the baseline lab work. Because this one particular hormone, the follicular stimulating hormone, I check on most of my women. If that number is over 30, because the FSH is definitely a hallmarker, it can be, it's not the main indicator, but it's a baseline indicator if a woman is transitioning into menopause. Okay. The FSH, which is the follicular stimulating hormone. So I will check that level. And if that reading indicates that you are menopausal, then it's safe to say, then we can transition you off of the birth control and transition you into hormone replacement therapy if you are a candidate. Now, my women who are smokers over 35, I do not initiate hormones with estrogen, okay? Because, that puts them more at risk for cardiovascular disease, blood clots, and bleeding disorders. So if you're perimenopausal, you're a smoker, you're over 35, you do not get a combination method of birth control because of those risk factors. And same thing with smoking, I definitely want to counsel you to stop smoking, because that smoking is going to put you at risk for not only just for cardiovascular events, but blood clots, and also it puts a person at risk for cervical cancer.
Mm-hmm. Yet another reason besides it's gross.
Exactly.
To not
Stop smoking. Stop smoking. I know
yeah,
it's
don't do
easier
it.
said than done because I'm not a smoker, but it's
Neither am
easier,
I.
it's hard. It's hard for women who have smoked for years and years. So we try to get them into a smoking cessation program or try to give them some, nicotine patches or medications to help them, curb that appetite. But if you stop smoking, you add years to your life. You really do.
Mm-hmm. I believe that. And another thing that I guess I would like us to talk about with this quickly before I move on to the next question is that women need to pay more attention because I'm wondering, because of some of the foods we eat here in the US and because of various hormones and things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
We know that that changes. Well, I'm not gonna put words in your mouth. I believe that it changes a lot of things hormonally, which is why we typically see little girls starting their period so
Mm.
much earlier than they used to, right?
Mhm.
So I would also assume it is possible that you or that some women may enter into a perimenopausal state and see symptoms maybe earlier as well. And so maybe we need to
Mm.
pay attention to how you're feeling holistically,
Mm.
all of the symptoms, and begin talking to your healthcare providers, no matter your age, when you are starting to look at certain things. Is that safe to say?
Oh, absolutely. Nutrition is always important, and we have a tendency to, definitely want to eat unhealthy foods, because it's expensive to eat healthy,
It
right?
is,
You from
unfortunately.
Whole Foods, Trader Joe. I mean, it's expensive to eat foods that are not processed, that are homegrown. But historically speaking, our grandmothers and great grandmothers, they everything was homegrown. From mustard greens, collard greens, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. And it did play a part, as far as in our diet and in how we grew and how we managed and handled our menstrual cycle. Now I'm seeing young girls who are starting their menstrual cycle as early as 8 years old.
Yeah.
8 years old.
Yeah.
And young women are coming in now to, their moms will say, well, I have my daughter, she's starting her cycle and things are irregular, which I expected to be irregular, but the girls are experiencing heavy menstrual cycles and they're
Mm,
crampier at the age of 12 years old. And these
mm,
girls are coming in, they have breast buds, they're over 100 pounds. And to your point, it does have a lot to do with the type of nutrition that they consume. They're not eating healthy or eating processed foods. Again, I say, let's go back, in time and start growing our own foods. I mean, we know that there is a food desert in a lot of our communities of color,
absolutely.
you got the Fresh Market. I know over in Church Hill, I know they have like a lot of homegrown. There's a Black Farmers Market, which is about an hour from the RVA area, and that has fresh fruits and vegetables and candy yams and fresh preserves. So we really need to start looking into some of those Black markets in our own neighborhood and start bringing fresh foods and vegetables into our own communities so that we can definitely benefit from that. But yeah, that really bothers me knowing that our young African American women are coming in, our teenagers, and they are just not listening to what their bodies are telling them. They got this the whole body image. I mean, that's a whole different topic for another
Mhm.
day. But it's so important when it comes to how we transition from puberty to young adulthood to the perimenopause to the menopausal stage. It really does. We start early or we and starting our cycles, that can impact how we transition into the menopausal years as well. Obesity. I mean, African American culture, I mean, we are the leaders when it comes to obesity. It comes to the chronic medical conditions. I used to get so upset when I go to these conferences and they said, well, they would break up these different types of demographics and African Americans, we would always be number one. But why were we number one? Did you study our culture? Did you go into our communities? Did you ask the right questions at that particular time? So I vowed as a provider, that's one thing that I definitely wanted to look into is, going into the health disparities and the health
Yeah.
equity. I mean, it's so unfair. It's so,
Yes.
and then the misogyny of women, we have such a mental load, heavy load that we go into. Now we're dealing with furloughs and not having jobs, and I mean, the list just goes on, Charlene.
It does.
And
It
we are
does.
tired. We are tired.
We are, and it is real. And that is one of the reasons that, um, I one of the key things about this channel, yes, is to talk about beauty, because I believe that can be a form of wellness. It is a form of confidence building. It is a way to
Absolutely.
feel good about yourself. But the other ways of wellness matter too. And there are a lot of disparities when it comes to Black and Brown women and
Mm-hmm,
people
mm-hmm,
as a
mm-hmm,
whole in
mm-hmm.
terms of the health care that
Right.
they oftentimes are receiving. And then there's, the socioeconomic piece of that as well for some people, because
Right.
that is a hindrance to that. But your point is well taken. And I'm going to share something about a farmer's market that my Alpha Kappa
Awesome.
Alpha
Excellent.
sorority is
Excellent.
sponsoring in the next
Excellent.
few weeks. But
Excellent.
what you said is, and I don't know if everyone watching or who will watch this video understands what a food desert is, but it
Yes.
is, I'm going to say, I'm speaking for Charlene, I'm not speaking for Terri, okay? It is an intentional way of designing neighborhoods and communities where they do not, and quite frankly, these are not all Black neighborhoods.
Right. Right.
Many poor people of all races and ethnicities have food deserts. I remember seeing a video of children, poor white children. This is how they described them, okay, in the video, who had never seen a potato, who had
Mm.
never seen fresh fruits and vegetables.
Wow.
And for
Wow.
me personally, that is disgusting in what
Yes.
is supposed to be
Yes.
the richest country in the world. And when you said it, it reminded me that I never thought about that until I went to college and started getting some of that education in terms of like marketing and placement and things
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
reason I didn't experience it, and I grew up very close with all of my grandparents on both sides, thank God, but I remember we called him the vegetable man. Both
I
of
like
my,
that.
you know what I mean? Both sets of my grandparents. It never dawned on me until I was much, much older that the stores that were close might have had certain canned goods and different things that you could get, right? But
Right.
not fresh vegetables. It just never dawned on me until I was much older. But the farmers would come through the Black neighborhoods, both of my grandparents, with their trucks, with their scales, and they would have all the vegetables. So for me, I'm super fortunate because I
Yes.
never
Yes.
knew that
Yes.
experience, even though it was happening.
Yes.
And I have lived in food deserts. I didn't know it because one, my grandparents knew and
Yes.
they had the wherewithal and resources and community
Yes.
and
Yes.
network
Yes.
to
Yes. Love
ensure that
that.
we
Love
ate
it.
fresh
Yes.
fruits and vegetables. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So,
So important.
yeah, a food desert essentially means you are living somewhere where you cannot get access to
Mm-hmm.
healthy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
nutritious
Yes.
foods on a
Yes.
regular basis without it totally taking you outside of your way. And that is a big problem in poor communities as a whole. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, it would be communities of color. So, thank you for mentioning that. And
Yeah,
I
that you
will
just
say,
educated the masses right there with what you just said about the food deserts. And I mean, that is so important. It's so important. I see these young girls, adolescents. I love my adolescents too, who I see, and they come in and they just, I just feel like some of them are just focusing on the wrong things sometimes, when it comes to the nutrition. You got the McDonald's on every corner, all this processed meat and preservatives that's in the food. Do you know about fresh vegetables and fruit? Do you know about that? And I know the schools are now, they're taking more responsibilities too. All the school systems, are trying to take more responsibility and incorporating, nutritionist foods into the school system. So kudos to those who are definitely, doing that.
That for so many underserved communities, the least healthy foods are the least expensive and easiest
Yes,
for
yes,
them to get,
yes.
So again, it's a bigger issue than, of course, what we're talking about. But as we're talking about it, and it is sad, but it is important that we talk about it. You know what I
Yes, it
mean?
is.
Because all of us may be able to play a role to help within
That's
our
right.
communities.
That's right. So then when when you are faced with, you maybe 5 or 10 pounds overweight, we can do something about it because I mean, that obesity, in a female when they're going through menopause, I mean that the fat distribution, it distributes differently and it shifts differently in menopause.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of women say, well, Terri, I just got this gut I just can't get rid of. It just sits right there since I hit menopause. I just feel like, and they say, I'm eating right, I'm exercising, I'm doing all the right. I said, something you're not doing. I said, because menopause, you have to change your metabolism. You have to change, you have to be the game changer. And what I mean by that, be consistent with exercise, get a
Mm-hmm.
partner to exercise with. I'm not saying you have to go out and enroll into an expensive gym. You can walk. Walking is the best exercise you can do. I'm not saying go out there and just do a leisure. So you got to do a brisk walk. I mean, pump and pace. You do that for about a good 30 minutes every day. You do 4 laps around a school track. That's 1 mile. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Set a challenge for yourself. 20 minutes a day and then add a protein. You will, in 6 weeks, you will definitely make a difference in that midsection. You got to work it. You can't, it didn't get there overnight. Menopause doesn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the key word is a transition.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, nutrition is key. It is so key. Eating the right foods, getting the proper sleep, and exercising. It does work. It
Yeah.
does. And like I said, incorporate also. You notice the mass in your muscles starts to deteriorate. Your skin starts to sag. You got to do some toning. You have to do resistance training. If you're not able to do that, you got frozen shoulder or you got aches and pains, there's chair yoga, there's Pilates, there's exercise that you can modify. You don't have to go out there and run full and half marathons and do HIIT programs. You work up to that if that's your desire. But if not, you keep it at a level that's comfortable for you.
Yeah. And I have seen some of the medical doctors actually, especially the ones who are heavy into menopausal research and
Mm-hmm,
serving,
mm-hmm.
not, of course, uh, saying you shouldn't exercise because all of us should, absolutely. However, it seems that some of the things that may have worked for you in your younger years in terms of some of that extra strenuous stuff might not
Yes.
be as beneficial to you
Mm-hmm,
as you
mm-hmm,
get up in age because it's almost
mm-hmm,
like it's,
mm-hmm.
and it doesn't mean you can't work up a sweat, but there's a difference between doing like Shaun T's dancey workouts, which is going to make you sweat, right? But it's fun
Right,
because it's a dance
right.
exercise, and then doing that crazy one that I ain't ever going to do in this life or the next. Where you, like all that boot camp stuff. I can't think of the name of it. If my cousin, when she watches this video, she'll be able to put the names of both because she loves her some Shaun T. So it's
Right,
knowing
right,
all of those
right,
things, but also not shying away from exploring
right.
whether or not hormone replacement therapy may be a benefit for you in addition to
Mm-hmm,
other lifestyle changes.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
I will quickly say that I am using hormone replacement therapy and I am taking a medication called Bijuva. And hopefully, I will be able to get in contact with someone and we can do a deeper dive into that medication sometime soon. But so far, I can say that I believe it to be working for me.
mm-hmm. Okay. And I
So
love that. I love that for you, because that Bijuva, it's a combination hormone replacement therapy. So it has estrogen and it has progesterone together. So you take that capsule every day, and it has some bioidentical properties, meaning it's still manufactured in the lab, but it still has some natural components to it. So it's going to be easier on your liver, okay, as it bypasses through it. And it's going to provide you with relief from your hot flashes and night sweats. And it's also going to help protect your bones, Charlene.
because I was going through phases where they were super, super intense. And I don't know if I've said this already, but I call it hot and freeze, hot flash and freeze flash, because that's what I was going. Like I was like, where's this cold? Where's the freeze coming from? Like I would get hot. And then 5 minutes later, I would be freezing. Like at one point, this poor man, like I'm just like, I'm taking the colors off and I got three fans on me, and then I'm putting them back on with three blankets. So it's a lot, but hopefully the takeaway from this is that there are options. Um, and I've mentioned Bijuva. I think you mentioned that there are other pills and patches that might be available for people to look into in terms of hormone replacement therapy.
Absolutely. Yes, there are other formulations. Charlene has the pill, the oral conjugation of estrogen progesterone. There's also a transdermal patch that you can apply to your lower abdomen. It's applied to the skin and it has a combination estrogen progesterone as well. So it's directly, administered into your system. Okay. And so
Mhm.
it still provides you with the relief and the protection that your body needs. And then there's also a mist, it's called Eva Mist. And you just spray it onto your skin. And it's
Mhm.
definitely directly administered into your skin that way too. However, like I said, with women who have intact uterus, they need to have the combination, the estrogen and the progesterone. And so the other formulation that I prescribe is an estradiol patch that you apply to your lower abdomen, and you take an oral progesterone. So you take, it's two, but you still can manage it. It's not easy to follow. You apply the patch, you change that twice weekly, and then the pill you take every day. And that, like I said, the prometrium will help with the sleep. And you still need that prometrium because you can't take estrogen unopposed.
Okay.
Because if a woman the other day came in, a patient of mine, and she, was on hormone replacement therapy and she was on the patch pill formulation. So she follows up for her annual visit. And I said, well, how things going with the hormone replacement therapy? We can get your refill. She said, well, wait, I'm only taking the estrogen patch, Terri. And mind you, this woman has a uterus. So a whole year has transpired and she has taken just the estradiol patch without her prometrium.
Oh
So I'm
goodness.
like, are you having any unexplained vaginal bleeding, spotting, since you have not been taking the formulation as directed? She said, no, I just stopped taking it because I just didn't like the way it made me feel, the prometrium night. I just felt like I was sleeping too much. And I was like, oh no. I said, this is an educational moment. I said, you cannot take this medication without taking your progesterone. I said, now, because of the risk that you've posed on your uterus, you may have caused your uterine lining to build up without having that prometrium to balance things out. I need to order a GYN ultrasound to make sure your uterus has not thickened. So that's why I asked her the questions about vaginal bleeding or vaginal spotting. And she said, absolutely not. So that's still to be determined. The ultrasound has been ordered and the prometrium has been added, and explain why, again, she needs to take them both together and not unopposed. Because, like I said, uterine cancer, I was reading or looking at the Dr. Kim Dahl, the Instagram post you sent me, Charlene, thank you, about uterine cancer in the Black community. And that's one of the reasons why you have to educate women on taking hormone replacement and taking it correctly. Because if a woman, even if a woman's not on hormone replacement therapy and
Mhm.
she's postmenopausal, meaning she has stopped having a period for a year or two, and then all of a sudden she has unexplained vaginal bleeding or spotting, that's a red flag. She needs to come in, see her gynecologist. We need to do an endometrial sampling, take a sample of her uterine lining, send it off to pathology to rule out any type of uterine cancer. And then also order a GYN transvaginal ultrasound to determine the thickness or the thinness of her uterine lining. So that's so important to the women out there in the audience too. You have to pay attention to the symptoms, whether you're on hormone replacement therapy or not. If you have any unexplained vaginal bleeding, you definitely need to seek your provider.
Yes, and you need to take your medications as directed.
That is the take home message, right?
And if you are having issues with the medication, you need to be back in contact with
Yes,
your
yes,
healthcare provider. And
yes.
I'm going to throw this in. I don't intend to dog out any doctors or healthcare providers. I do feel that many are overworked. So you have to be that advocate for yourself to say, I
Absolutely.
need to get in now. This isn't
Absolutely.
working for me, or I don't like this thing, and I need to follow back, or you may need to be looking for someone else.
Correct. That's
Go ahead.
correct. Thank you for that point. And also just to get back on the hormone replacement therapy and the different formulations, if you are on hormone replacement therapy and you're still experiencing vaginal dryness, you can also take vaginal estrogen cream. Okay. Now
I was
that's going to help with vaginal dryness, vaginal thinning, painful sex. And because that vaginal estrogen is no longer being produced in the vagina because you're now in a postmenopausal state. So the walls become thinner, become less elastic. You're going to the bathroom a lot because the estrogen is no longer around your urethra from where you urinate from. So women are more prone to urinary tract infections and urinary frequency, and also, we call it prolapse, which is relaxation of the pelvic area. So the vaginal estrogen cream or vaginal estrogen tablet will help restore that vaginal estrogen so you can have a healthier, thicker, and more vibrant vagina. So it is safe for women who are even breast cancer survivors. They can use vaginal estrogen cream because it's not absorbed into their system.
okay.
I
Okay.
mean, we as women, let's face it, our libidos change as we get older, and we don't have the same libido we had when we're in our 20s and 30s or 40s. So, we need to make things happen.
Yes, and men don't either.
And
But I mean, we talking about
let's be
women right
clear.
now. No, I was really going to ask you about that because clearly, when you don't feel well, right? Whether you are thrown off because your sleep is off, and sleep being off is really a big deal, ladies. Do not sell it short in terms of the impact that quality sleep has on your overall health and how you feel, right? So if you're
Right.
not feeling well, if you're not sleeping well, if you feel like I'm putting on a little bit of weight and I'm having to switch up what I eat, and you're going through all these changes, clearly some women are going to feel less interested in sex
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and affection. So, would that vaginal cream be one of the things in combination with some of the other things that we've already talked about that might help?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The vaginal estrogen cream is to replace the estrogen that's been lost, but you still may need like an external lubricant, okay, or moisturizer. I'm definitely a fan of coconut oil, olive oil that you can use externally. There's also a silicone-based oil called Uberlube that works
Yeah,
wonderfully on your skin, your hair, your
you gave me
nails.
some of that. I
I
was
did.
using it on my
Oh, that's right. I use it every day. And you can, most of these products you can get over the counter, but just make sure, if you use a lubricant on the inside, just make sure it's water based, like, KY or Replens. Those are water based vaginal lubricants that you can use. There's also a procedure. If women are just absolutely do not want to use vaginal estrogen cream, which it is perfectly safe to do, but if they choose not to, that's fine. There's a procedure that's called Mona Lisa, and it's done in office, and it's done by a gynecologist at Virginia Women's Center, and it instills collagen and at a laser base, collagen inside the vagina to help for vaginal lubrication. So, but it's like 6 treatments, and it's every 6 weeks, those
Oh,
treatments. And you come in, it's painless, it's minimum spotting post procedure, but it is a procedure that's offered to women if they do not want to use any vaginal estrogen cream, or there's also a vaginal estrogen tablet that you can insert Okay, it's just like a suppository. Okay, but there's also, and Dr. Walker, she's a famous gynecologist. She loves Reverie, and it's a hyaluronic acid ovule. Okay, it's non-hormonal, and you can use it every day, or you can use it 3 times a week. But it's for vaginal dryness for women. Yep. So there are other options that are out there for sure.
Okay. And just to be clear, you did not say olive oil and coconut oil in the vajayjay.
Not inside,
You said
externally,
outside. She said
outside.
external, outside. I like to be very clear.
Right, right. I agree. I agree. External. Only thing you put inside would be the estrogen cream, the hyaluronic acid ovule, the Reverie, or the vaginal tablet. It's called Uvafem.
Hmm.
Now, there's also Aspina. That's an oral tablet that you take orally, and that helps, with systemic lubrication and vaginal dryness too. But all of these are prescriptions except for the over-the-counter vaginal lubricants.
Okay. I'm going to follow up with you offline and see if we can get you back because there are some things that are available in some of our favorite beauty places. And
Okay,
I would love to
okay.
get your feedback on a couple of things. Um, and see if you feel comfortable saying, because you may,
Okay.
you know what I mean, but we'll talk offline about that.
Okay, we'll talk offline about that.
So there are so many options that are available. And the first really truly is that you pay attention to your body and the various symptoms. And one of the things that I have had to learn to start doing as I've gotten older and developed various symptoms of things that I just never had before. I've never had sensitive skin, but I noticed that I started to feel sensitive. Something you said about the estrogen made me realize that might be why my eyes are so dry
Mm,
all the time. When I start having weird symptoms, or and I make myself pay attention, ladies, I make myself pay attention when something feels different or odd. Because sometimes, especially as Black women, we are really good at what did that old commercial say? Takes a licking and keep on ticking. Like we real good at we real good at like just feeling like we have to take and accept all these different things that are thrown at us and just keep moving through it.
yeah,
We
yeah,
have to
yeah.
pay attention. And so for me, what I developed a habit of doing more than a few years ago for different things, because the other thing is our memory is not what it used to be. And
Mm,
I've never always even had the best memory
mm.
unless I really, really like it. Then I'm gonna remember all the things, right? But in my phone, in my Google Calendar, I would just put sick note. And I would always make that the subject. And then I'll put a dash and put whatever the symptom is, right? So that
Mm.
way you don't have to try to remember what the symptom was. You don't have to try to remember when it was. So if my eye gets swollen, right?
Yes,
And it's really agitated, then I might put in my phone sick note for today, October the 19th, dash irritated swollen eye, right?
right.
And I now know whenever, if I keep having different symptoms and things happening, I can just go through my phone and look through and search sick note. And then I can see all the things. And that way you also will begin to notice a pattern of
Mm-hmm.
certain symptoms
I
that
like
you may be
that.
having. So you can tell your healthcare providers what's going on and how frequently it's been
Yes,
happening. So that's
yes.
a suggestion and something that's been helpful to me because you can't remember. Like I'll
You
think
can't.
something happened yesterday, but it was 3 weeks ago. Or
3
I'll
weeks
think
ago.
something that happened 3 weeks ago and it happened yesterday.
That is
So,
so important. Oh, that's so important. That's so important because, like you said, brain fog is real, right? That's the reality. Brain fog is real. And we know that studies have shown that, estrogen is a receptor in the brain as well. And when we lose that estrogen, that's when the dementia will set in.
mhm.
Our cognition declines. And to your point, I love what you're saying, how you write things down, you go back and you revisit it. But yeah, start journaling all your symptoms.
Yeah.
I had a patient the other day come in, she had a whole list of symptoms that she was experiencing. She said, I had to write them down, Terri, because if I came in here and had this appointment, I would have remembered what to
Yes.
tell you. And so I said, well, that's great. I said, but that's a great brain stimulator. Just writing things down. I'm a visual person too. I have to see it in order to believe it. Also, I'm an auditory learner too, so I have to hear it as well. So yeah, that's great, Charlene. That's a great exercise. That's a really good exercise. But there are other supplements too that are out there. You know, women ask me, well, what kind of vitamins can I take, Terry? You know, and I'll be honest with you, you know, I am a proponent and I purchase Black Girl vitamins. I definitely support them. I do. And it's pretty much what I advise patients to take, you know, as far as the magnesium
Oh my
glycinate.
God. Yes, I have
Okay.
that.
You have used that, right?
I do. I've just started my second bottle of it because I had been incorporating the magnesium. I've been incorporating ashwagandha because again, it's uh, ashwagandha and honestly some CBD. And some
But
people may feel a way
okay,
about it,
okay.
but when I tell you, Charlene gonna keep herself level and calm, and people ain't gonna pluck my nerves, and I got this hormone stuff going on. We
Touche,
ain't doing
touche, touche,
but yes, to the
touche.
Black Girl vitamins. And I also have been doing Mary Roos. That was the first one that I found for magnesium.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
like the Black Girl vitamins more. I'm biased because it is a Black girl, Black owned business. Let me
Correct.
shout them out. And
Right.
also for the size of their bottle, they it's double the dose.
That's right.
So I
That's
think it
right.
was 100 milligrams for one pill, which means one bottle will last me for 2 months. And yeah, so supplements. I'm sorry. I just,
Supplements. So,
yes,
so
Black Girl Vitamin.
The Mary Ruth, I full disclosure, I use that as well. I do.
Yes,
The
I do
mango,
one
I
Black
believe
Girl
it's
Vitamin. I
mhm,
do one Mary Ruth, the Calm. All
calm.
of them are magnesium citrate
Okay. Okay.
because I just, so I'm in the habit now of taking my magnesium in the morning because I'm like,
Okay.
this will start my day.
Okay.
And then, and
You
then
are hilarious.
and then I will do like when I'm getting off from work and I want to kind of wind down, I will do one of the Mary Roos
Okay.
with melatonin if I feel like I need it. I don't take
Okay.
it every night, but sometimes if I feel like I'm really tired, but I'm not feeling like I'm gonna wind down to actually fall into sleep, I will also do the melatonin. So
Okay.
not giving medical
Okay.
advice, but sharing what things have worked for
Work
me.
for you. For you.
Um, and there's a new thing that I've been wanting to try, and I got it during one of the Ulta Beauty sales. It's from a brand called Moon Juice. Now, I haven't taken it lately, but when I was talking to my dietitian and I was explaining to her, because we were looking at what is a healthy amount and what is a recommended
That's the
maximum
amount.
dose for
Right.
the various forms of magnesium,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
I
Right.
could do all of those things and still be within, what was acceptable and
Okay.
recommended. And this
Okay.
moon juice, I think it's called oh, it just went out. It's sleepy something. I'm gonna share it
Mhm.
afterwards, but it's a powder. And that one I think is actually magnesium glycinate.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And it is for
Okay.
bedtime. And the one that I have is like a
Right.
cherry powder. It tastes sort of like a cherry Kool-Aid, like a little bit of a watered down cherry Kool-Aid.
That sounds delicious.
So I was like, oh, I actually like this. And I was giving it a side eye because it was like $49. But I got it for half price. And I do think it might be worth paying for if I the nights when I need that extra, I need to go to sleep and I need to stay asleep. I'll add that in too. So
Oh
yeah.
wow,
Any
wow,
other
wow.
supplements you recommend? I also
Well,
highly recommend Black Girl vitamins. At least
you
give it
do?
a try.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Very good, very good. So, in addition to the magnesium glycinate 500 milligrams, I
Mm,
recommend women to take vitamin D3 for bone health.
yep.
Okay,
Mhm.
and you can get that also in foods, anything that has bones in it, sardines, fish. That can definitely be an additive if you don't want to take the supplement. I do recommend the vitamin D3 at least 1,000 international units a day. Okay,
Oh,
because we as Black women, we don't like being in the sun. So we have a vitamin D deficiency. And so when it's deficient, guess what the number one side effect of that is? Hot flash. Hot flash. So if
mm.
your vitamin D is low and you're hot flashing, not only just for menopause, you probably have a vitamin D deficiency. It's 1,000
Okay.
IUs. And
Okay.
it's also important for bone health too, because again, if you're not taking any hormone replacement therapy, you're not walking, you're not doing anything strength bearing, your bone health is going to deteriorate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so at 60, we recommend between 60 and 65, I recommend getting a bone DEXA scan, and that screens for osteoporosis. Okay. All right. And then the third vitamin is going to be a fish oil, omega 3s. I hear you saying about, the dry eyes. That can help with dry eyes, omega 3 fatty acids. So if you take about 500 milligrams of that a day, or again, that's going to also help with cognitive development, and it's also going to help with heart development too. So that's why we tell women who are trying to get pregnant, you need that fish oil, you need that omega 3, which is in DHA. So that's important for heart and brain health.
Okay.
So those are the top three from Terri's talk.
Well, I struggle with pills, and I actually do have some that I got from, I think they are actually salmon oil pills that I got, and they didn't look super big because some of those pills are huge. That is my struggle with the pills. So I need to revisit that for the
And
dry.
a lot of women don't like taking them also because they're huge and they have that aftertaste too, right? So, there's that part as well. So, but like I said, if you can't get in a vitamin, there's definitely food sources that equate to each one of those vitamins. But you just have to consume more. You have to consume more. Like, for calcium, you need, at least as postmenopausal women or women who are in their 50s, you need at least up to 2,000 international units of calcium a day. And you can get that in green leafy vegetables, broccoli, collards, kale, mustard. If you don't have a lactose intolerance, you can get it from your almond milk, soy milk, oat milk. Okay. Who doesn't like ice cream?
Right. So helpful. Thank you so much, Terri.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're so welcome. I'm having fun. I'm having fun with just educating women on such a really complex topic. Women didn't want to talk about it, didn't know how to talk about it, but I tell you, there's so many resources out there. My go-to is Dr. She is at the book right here, and I listen to her all the time. Her podcast, her name is Dr. Sharon Malone. And you
hold it up just a little bit for me.
Can you see some more? Dr. Sharon Malone.
Okay.
She is a OBGYN. She's a provider of color. Can you see it?
Yes, now I can see it. Okay. So they can see the cover and her name.
Yes.
Okay. I haven't heard of her. I will check her book out.
Grown Woman Talk. That's the name of her book, Grown Woman Talk.
Oh, okay.
Okay. She is like the medical director for menopause. And I mean, she explains it so simplistically as far as what women go through, especially women of color. Awesome. And so, like I said, the name of the book is called Grown Woman Talk by Dr. Sharon Malone.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to add that to my library.
Yes. She's got great. She's also one of the medical directors for Alloy, and that's a women's health company, and they have products too. I'm not trying to have people buy her products, but it's good information. She has different podcasts and talks, and another resource is Dr. Mary Claire Haver.
I follow her. I listen to her a lot, and I do have her book as well as Dr. Mindy Pell's. I think.
Okay.
Yeah. She goes hard. Both of them go hard for menopause and good advice and
Definitely, Dr. Mary Claire Haver. Her book is called The New Menopause, and that's a good read. That's a good read. And one other resource is Dr. Jennifer Gunter, Gunter, and she goes real hard. She goes the demystifying all of the myths about menopause. And if you really want the Women's Health Initiative study broken down, definitely listen to either Dr. Mary Claire Haver or Dr. Jennifer Gunter. Yep.
Okay.
And they support hormone replacement therapy. They definitely, say that, the Women's Health Initiative study was, study that was needed to be done. Don't get me wrong. However, a lot of information needs to be clarified now that, we are definitely supporting hormone replacement therapy in women. And even now studies are showing that you can be a candidate for hormone replacement therapy based on the type of breast cancer that you have.
Mm.
So a lot of women, they kind of, kind of unwavering about that and kind of skeptical about entering into that uncharted territory. But, the studies are out there now that support. Of course, you have to collaborate with your oncology team. But if it's
Yeah.
not estrogen sensitive, then yes, you are a candidate for hormone replacement therapy. Yep.
Yeah. It's
So
so much to
it is a
consider.
lot.
And yeah, the big takeaway, hopefully, is that one, we have to listen to our bodies and we have to pay attention. And also, I'm going to throw out that we are not crazy. Some of the mental and emotional stuff that you feel, especially when you get when you do not have quality
Mm,
sleep,
mm, mm,
it really makes a difference to your quality of life, your ability to function throughout the day, whether you acknowledge it or not.
mm.
But to pay attention to our bodies, to make notes as we recognize certain symptoms and changes even in how we're feeling so that we can communicate effectively and in detail to our various healthcare providers, because you may be seeing more than just a gynecologist or your nurse practitioner. You may
Right,
also be talking to your primary care doctor.
right,
Some
right,
people
right,
visit naturopathic doctors. Some people also work with nutritionists and dietitians. Like, you want a holistic view to
right,
get your health um, in order and to keep it there. And it
right.
is a work in progress, but it starts with you acknowledging truth about how you're feeling and different things that are happening,
Mm-hmm,
and then
mm-hmm.
sharing that with the people who can help you. And if by chance you have someone that is not very helpful, finding someone else
Right, right,
who can help.
right.
Okay.
That's so important. Well said, Charlene. Well said. That's
Thank
so
you.
important for your community listeners to hear that because, a lot of women feel like they don't have any provider to talk to. But, I'm here to say now there's so many specialists now who are out there. Like I said, menopause is an old topic, but a new conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you can have a separate visit just for menopause. Have
Yeah.
your annual visit done. You can talk about, menopause, but if you need a more detailed, in-depth conversation with your provider, you can schedule. It could be virtually or it can be in person.
Absolutely. I did it a couple of times because I'm all I got.
That's right.
I am all I got. And I don't want to be negligent anymore, right? For myself. We all grow and learn. You know what I'm saying? But we putting down our superwomen capes. We caping for ourselves. Okay. And
Yes.
that means being an advocate for yourself, paying attention to yourself. And the other takeaway I would say is that while everyone may not be a candidate for hormone replacement therapy, it is not scary. And it is something that if you think you may be a candidate for, start doing your own research on the various treatments that are available. Several have been mentioned by Terri in this episode, and then go and talk to your healthcare provider about what you think you may be interested in and let them help you work through that process to see what might work for you.
Absolutely. Well said, Charlene. Thank you for that. And menopause is not an expiration of life. You don't want to go around feeling enraged all the time, feeling angry, feeling moody. And to that point, if you absolutely don't want to use hormone replacement therapy, which I know this is the main topic, there are other options too. Okay. Say, for example, a woman just comes in, she's just so angry, she just can't get it together. I offer antidepressant. That's the off-label use, for menopause. If we do a low-dose SSRI, such as Zoloft or Effexor or Lexapro, that can
Mhm.
help kind of really calm hot flashes down. And the bonus to it, it'll take the edge off of your anxiety.
Mhm.
So, you don't have to go around feeling enraged all the time. You can definitely, calm that rage down and then make it a war, make it a war, hear me roar, reinvent myself. It's not the end of my life when menopause starts. I
Yeah.
want to springboard into recreating myself again, right?
Yeah.
Women back in the day in the 50s, they just, they didn't do anything. They just, felt like they just I'm just useless. I just don't have any more umph. But don't limit yourself. I say,
Yeah.
find your new power, find your new potential, find your new pizzazz. you
Yes.
know.
Yes. I call that your melanin magic mindset.
I love it. I love it. I'm gonna have
Yes.
to steal
Yes.
that.
So no, it is not the end. It is the beginning of a new phase of life. And there are tools and resources that are
Yes.
available to help
Yes.
you
Yes.
maneuver it
Yes.
with ease. Okay.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
want to thank Terri so much for taking the time to answer these questions and share
Uh,
this
this is
information.
this is a lot of fun. I really appreciate having this discussion with you, Charlene. Anytime, anytime.
Oh, okay. We'll see Terri again. We'll come up with some more questions and some things we'd like to ask her. And the
And
only
I know
other
we
thing,
didn't cover everything. I know we didn't,
no.
but hopefully we covered some highlights.
Yeah, this was a lot and this was really good. Thank you. And the last thing that I will add, because I want you to hear this too, Terri, is they do several Black farmers markets, I believe, at this particular location, probably at least once a month. So I'm certain there will be a way for you all to sign up if you like to make sure that you know when they're having it so that you can go, right? Support Black farmers and get healthy
Absolutely.
foods for
Absolutely.
yourself.
Oh,
So
that's great. I've got that information written down. Thank you, Charlene.
you're so welcome. And
Please send that to me. Please
I
send that
will.
to me.
I
Okay.
will. I will send it to you as soon as we hang up here. And just thank you again, Terri. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you personally so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Charlene. I really had a good time. I really appreciate the invitation and I look forward to many discussions ahead.
Yay! Okay.
Bye, everybody.
That was so fantastic. At least I hope you all thought it was fantastic. I thought it was fantastic. I never not enjoy seeing and talking to Terri. She is a pleasure, and she has been such um, a godsend, for me as someone who, as you heard, um, had to swap out my beloved gynecologist of I don't know how many years after her retirement and was on the hunt for a woman of color with a good reputation and someone who I felt like would be a good match for me to help me, just moving forward, right? So I'm so grateful for her. I am grateful for her medical expertise and guidance. I'm super grateful for her very personable bedside manner. And I feel lucky to have her as a member of my healthcare team. And if you happen to be in the Richmond area, Terri is located at the Virginia Women's Center. And she is, as of October 2025, accepting new clients if you are in the market for someone and want to see if maybe you all will work well together and you need a personal health care provider. I will provide her contact information in the description bar in case you would like to get in touch with her. I will also provide information related to all of the books and all of the resources that were mentioned, to include any YouTube pages for Dr. Sharon, Dr. Mindy, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, any of them. And there was one other doctor that Terri mentioned. I will make sure that I find any information that they have available on YouTube so that I can link it so that you can begin to do your own research as needed for yourself or maybe for a family member who may be in the perimenopausal phase or in menopause and needing some level of assistance in dealing with some of the side effects and the impact of the hormonal changes. So I hope you all enjoy this video. I hope that you found one or three takeaways with, the top one being that we have to be our own best advocates, and we have to pay attention to and listen to our bodies so that we can get the healthcare services and medical assistance that we need, whether it is physically, mentally, or emotionally. And also that whatever we may be going through at any given moment, we aren't going through it alone. I know that sometimes it can feel really, really lonely when you are experiencing major changes or going through big life shifts, but none of us are the only one to experience anything. And I hope that you have close family and friends who can help you maneuver through. And that is also another reason that it is important to me to create this Melanin Magic community, both here online on YouTube, but also in real life through my Melanin Magic meetups, so that we can create safe spaces to dialogue, to share, to have fun, and to just be there for each other as Black and brown women. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to stay in a state of trying not to cry because I've been thinking about my mom a lot and I miss her a lot. And I am doing my very best to get all the things in order to ensure that I am prioritizing my happiness and my health. And sometimes it can be a challenge, but I know I can do it and you can do it too. And I just see this channel as an extension of us being accountability partners to help each other just through. There's a lot happening. So thanks again to Terri for coming on and answering the questions and sharing so much great information. Let me know in the comments 2 things that may have stood out for you that Terri shared with us that like made a big impact on you, that was new to you, or just something that was reiterated that maybe was a reminder for you. And feel free to share this video with other women who may need the information. And if you have not already subscribed to the channel, please do. Please make sure that you like this video if you found this information useful. And I will see you all in the next video.